is somebody that came into us that was given antipsychotics and basically told that they're crazy because if they had been on antibiotics and Diflucan all year long for their UTI, guess what? They didn't have chronic UTI issues. They didn't even have interstitial cystitis. They had thyroid cancer, okay? And that went completely undetected for an entire year in the conventional mainstream medicine because she didn't present with thyroid issues, okay? So that just kind of goes to show you, energy, using the likes of physics and looking at light, which, biophotons actually, light is actually created in catalyst for every biochemical reaction in the body, is really where you want to get started in looking at things. And then you can go get that biochemical based testing for confirmation or to be able to see clinically where is that at. Because, even cancer, for example, you have cancer in us every single day, all the time. And it's your body's job to go in there and edit that every single day, all the time. It's when your body can't do that anymore that becomes a problem because all that dust accumulates in your house when you don't clean. Same thing that you're going through whenever that you're having the body with these cellular abnormalities and the mutagenesis. And we can see those things before that they're at that level, that they would present clinically to be diagnosed potentially at that point. Now, I want to make it clear, we're not a diagnostic standard. We are not standard of care. Bioenergetics is not yet incorporated to be considered to be able to allow for diagnostics. However, if you look at Boston University, Davis University, they already have technology that's doing this and far superseding the conventional standard. There are some politics involved as to why that's not out there yet. And there's also some issues with that. That's a whole, like I mentioned, way to redefine conventional medicine because it's not just about something showing up or not. The biochemical model is very much about anything over this amount means you are infected and then we have disease. Anything under this amount, miraculously that doesn't matter and you're not affected. Even like conventional Western blots, right? You have somebody that has 4 to the 5 markers. Sorry, not enough. Come back when you get one more, then we'll help you. Or you have one of the 2 that you need. You're not sick enough yet. Come back when you have that. So that's kind of how we look at things with the conventional sphere with the biochemical model, but you don't look at it the same way when you're using, frequency, and it's a whole another learning curve. So you're talking about having to retrain practitioners and medical schools and everybody to a whole new way of looking at things. I don't think Big Pharma is going to really be on board. They're cool with that being used to sell for $20,000, $30,000 as a pacemaker implant and make their money to do what they can with that agenda. But if they can't continue to monopolize that or to sell that to you in the form of a pill, they don't want frequency out there.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, like when they learn about this, they're like wonder why is this not more widely available, and all of those reasons you just explained. But I think the other thing is, like, is this really new technology though? Because a lot of these concepts, it seems like I, in the videos I've seen from your website, it seems like this understanding has been around for some time, and so that's not really the issue, right? That it's like new. Is that right?
Yeah, it's not I wouldn't consider it's interesting that you mentioned that actually because in the physics meets physiology course I kind of go into that as far as homeopathy really had hit a heyday and it was basically kind of the model that we had in medical school until that you got some of these other parties involved. Mind you, by the way, that you had, families like, the highest of the high at back then, Rockefellers, Morgans, etc., using homeopathy, swearing by it, living to 93, 94 years old, mind you, but discovering that they couldn't, teach that in medical schools because that didn't give them a market to continue selling some of these, fields that they pervade, if you will, chemical industries, et cetera, the pharmacological model that we now follow. We didn't always follow that. And that's where people kind of have been, taped off from history. So you're right. It's not a new concept. Even some of these concepts now with energy, even crystals, for goodness sakes, Tesla talked about this and talked about them as living beings. It's a renaissance, what we're coming back into of what has already been, a silenced knowledge that was extinguished and squashed out to keep this from people. I completely believe things like, free energy exist. The technology is there. It's being suppressed purposely. It's not that we don't have any answers. We're not being allowed to have access to them. That's a whole different thing. So you're completely right as far as it's not something that's new, not even newly discovered. The answers have always been there. We just have to tap into them, right? And that's exactly what's going on now. We're having people come into a type of consciousness as people kind of come into a specific type of frequency and align. We're getting more and more people to wake up to this. And we're going to need a lot more if we want to really move it to where we're hoping to move it, at least where I'm hoping to see it moved.